All right, let's look at your homework, see if there are any questions about that. Okay, so you had some parsing to do. Were there any problems that you wanted to raise with the parsing numbers 1 through 10?
Oh.
Mounce adds a on the first one, two with in a love.
This is a situation where in English, putting an indefinite article in front of an abstract noun like that doesn't really work, because it's, you know, to say a something means you can count it, right?
Right.
And this is not a count noun. This is an abstract noun. Unless, okay, I can't say something like, you know, a love that lasts, right? But there I'm distinguishing one kind of love from another. In that case, I guess so, but that would just sound unusual without any context to put the indefinite article there.
Since it's dative and you can use to love, but wouldn't that make it a
Well, in English that would be ambiguous, right?
Right.
But since we know this is a noun, to love, I would accept as literally the dative gives you the meaning to, and love is the noun, right? When we get to the infinitives, right, the Greek infinitives, then to love would be a way to translate the Greek infinitive agapon. So that could be ambiguous. For love. For true love. You know what movie that's from? The Princess Bride. Remember that? My kids just watched that the other day. Okay.
So when it says 2 times, that means there's 2 possibilities.
That means that there are 2 possibilities. That's right. So with ta, why are there 2 possibilities with ta? What gender is that? It's neuter, right? So we know that in the neuter, we're always dealing with the possibility that nominative and accusative neuters could be the same, right? So, and is that the nominative or accusative neuter plural of the article? Yeah. So those are your 2 possibilities. Altois, on the other hand, because in the dative plural, masculine and neuter endings could be the same, then that could be dative plural masculine and dative plural neuter, right?
Okay. What about the last one?
This is the situation where we have the feminine sigma here, right? So if I have a first declension noun with a sigma ending, there's 2 possibilities, theoretically, right? It could be what? Genitive, singular, and feminine. It could be accusative, plural, and feminine, right? By the way, when you have both possibilities, I encourage you to basically split these up like this, okay? Don't do this. Let me erase this. Here's what you probably don't want to do, especially not on a quiz for me, okay? Don't indiscriminately do something like, let's see, accusative and genitive, right? Plural or singular and plural and feminine, right? Because I don't know if I'm supposed to take the first word accusative with the singular or the first word accusative with the plural, right? But the way I should read it is genitive goes with singular, right? And accusative goes with plural. Make sense? So if you instead separate your lines out and keep them separate, then that's going to help, that's going to really help me know, right? So genitive, I forget, does he put his feminine? He puts numbers, so genitive, singular, feminine, and then accusative, plural, feminine, right? So now I know accusative and plural go together. Genitive and singular go together. Okay.
For Altoid,
Yes?
there was two possibilities. Was it masculine and neuter, dative plural?
Yes.
You said
Yes.
that for others.
So, in this situation, both are dative, both are plural, so I wouldn't necessarily feel like I had to do 2 lines
That's a,
and then masculine or neuter there, because these both apply to both, so there's no problem with that. Okay. All right. Any other questions about the parsing here? If you look at hamartion real quickly, what gender is that? Can you tell based on the form here? You cannot. Do you see the stem vowel at all? No. What do you know the stem vowel is, and how do you know it?
Because it switches.
What's the end of the noun stem? What's the vowel? What's being hidden? Yeah, it's an alpha, right? There is an alpha that was there after the iota. How do you know that? Because you know your lexical form, which is hamartia, right? You gotta memorize those lexical forms. Hamartia. But the omega has obscured that alpha, so you can't see it. So the only way you can know what gender it is by knowing your lexical form. And then you can say, this is feminine, right? The own part is the same no matter which noun I'm looking at. It's always genitive plural. But I don't know what that part is by looking at the form. Need to know my lexical form. Okay? Let's move on. We're gonna skip that. Warm-ups. Any questions on the warm-ups? What?
Can we try delta?
Can we try delta? Yeah, let's look at delta here. So everybody, tais hamartiais.
Tie.
Say it.
Tais hamartiais.
Tu kairu. Tu kairu. Okay, so tais hamartiais is what case gender number? It's dative. Good. You see the iota sigma. It's plural. And now what gender is that? That's feminine. So what declension pattern is this following? It's following the first declension, right? Because you see that alpha stem vowel. Excellent. So we don't have any context, so it's a little bit difficult to know how the best way is to render this dative, right? So what are my keywords that I could use? To, in, or with. And I'm pulling up Mounce because I'm guessing that y'all didn't like his translation. How did he put this delta? To the sins. To the sins. Okay, sure. It could be for the sins as well, right? Like he maybe will make atonement for the sins. So, with the sins, maybe. Okay, again, we have no context, and these are little snippet expressions, so we're often sort of left on our own. Tais hamartiais. Notice I have what case is tu kairu. Does that look genitive to you?
Genitive.
Yeah, I got my upsilons, right? So this is a genitive phrase where I've got a head noun and a genitive noun. So yeah, something like of time or of the time. So maybe with or in or for the sins of the time. Okay? So that's how I guess I would translate it without any other context there. I don't know if he gives you any location where this comes from or if he just made it up. Did he?
So how do we know that it wouldn't be sins for a season?
You don't know without context.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, you've got to look. And, we are going to learn that there are more genitive meanings associated with genitive case usage than just these couple of things we've learned. So,
depending on your perspective, education, how you grew up, what have you, your interpretation is your interpretation, so to speak.
well, I mean, yeah, everybody's interpretation is their own, right?
Yeah.
But we always have the control of looking at usage, and that's the thing, is you want to always be able to go back and say, okay, let's look at how the expressions are used in the text, and try to extrapolate the meanings, the possible meanings from those uses.
Yeah, but when you don't have a context like this, it's
Mhm.
kind of like your best guess.
Oh, right, yeah,
Knowledge you have
exactly.
so far.
I mean, the good news is that when we're reading actual text,
Yeah.
we've got a flow in the
That's the whole-
discourse.
yeah.
There's a lot of context that's going to disambiguate things for us.
Sins and then put in brackets too.
Yep. Okay, translation exercises. Any issues here that you want to tackle?
What about, so number one,
Mhm.
that Jesus said to them, and Jesus spoke to them.
Yeah, I think "said" is better here for your translation, and that's really the way he gives it to you, right? In the vocab list. Yeah, I think because he cut out the actual quotation, it doesn't really sound right to say Jesus said to them and then not say what he said, right?
Yeah.
So when you say Jesus spoke to them, the verb spoke doesn't require a quotation to follow it, like Jesus said to them, right? So that's probably why he monkeyed with the translation there a little bit, but I would have just said and put ... or something, because you would expect something to follow there. Okay, by the way, this is the verb that means to speak, elale.
On the next one,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that Luke and I have something different.
Oh, okay.
I put the word was speaking to them. He said he was speaking the word to them.
Ah.
I think that's what it says.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's take a look at ton logon here. Are you able to tell what case ton logon is based on the endings? Taylor, can you see
Yes.
that?
Accusative singular.
Okay, so yes, those news are telling me accusative, singular, and what gender?
Masculine.
And masculine. Very good. If this were a neuter noun, this could be nominative, right? The new of logon, if it were neuter, could be nominative. And then if it were nominative, it could be the subject of elale. But I've got the article in front, and that can only be accusative, singular, masculine. And because I know that the lexical form is logos, that sigma on the lexical form tells me it's got to be masculine. And that also tips me off that this has to be accusative. And if it's accusative, it's going to be my direct object, right? So it can't be the subject. I can't say the word was saying. I have to say that someone else was saying the word, or someone was speaking the word, right? So the accusative case is marking this noun as my object. So it's what he was speaking.
Right, but the word before it also
So
is
he
a
was
correct
speaking
option?
the word.
Ton logon, or are you talking about altois?
Yes, that.
Altois?
Yes.
Okay, look at the iota sigma here on altois. What case is that? That's dative. It's dative plural, right? So this is telling me to whom. So he was speaking
To them, the word.
to them, and this is what he was speaking to them, the word.
Got it.
All right. Now, if I wanted to say the word was speaking to them, the word, I'd have to have halagos as a nominative case form, right? To be the subject, it's got to be nominative. All right. Any other questions?
And if there's no nominative in the sentence, then it's the verb is the subject, right?
I'm sorry? If there's no
In
nominative,
the sentence, the
Then-
verb becomes a subject.
the verb doesn't become a subject,
Well, I mean-
but the implied subject pronoun is used. Yep. Okay. Anybody else have a question on any of these translation exercises? Any questions at all?
Number 8.
Number 8. So we have epistusen, which is the verb. He gives you a footnote. I can't remember what this footnote says. Let's say
He, she, it, believe.
what footnote number is that?
3.
3. So he, she, it believed. Okay, so there you go. Let me go back now. What did you say was number
8.
8 or 7?
I think she said 8.
Did you say 8 or 7?
8.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at number 7. Okay, so gnoriste means, he's got to give you the meaning of this because we don't know verbs yet. He, she, it might be made known. Okay? So we don't know what it is, but we do know when. What's noon mean?
Now.
Now.
Or present.
Now or the present. So it might now be made known. And then I've got iota sigma, iota sigma, iota sigma, iota sigma. What case is that?
Wait, did you say
Dative.
it might be now?
I put the now in between my ways of translating this, but I could say now it might be made known,
Okay.
or it might be made known now, or it might now be made known. Right? All of those are okay. But this is telling me what? I've got what case here?
Iota means dative.
Iota tells me it's dative, the sigma tells me it's plural, okay? So, can I tell what gender these are? Yeah, I've got stem vowels here, right, that are alpha. Those are typically feminine first declension. So it might be made known now to these two groups. I've got a chi here. To the blanks and the blanks.
Rulers and the authorities.
Yes, to the rulers and the authorities. Okay. Again, it's difficult sometimes to translate these when you're just coming in on no context and trying to make sense of this.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
But you have to read it grammatically. This is the thing, right? If you really read it grammatically, you can put it together.
Yeah.
So you've got to read it according to the grammar you're seeing. So you have to know that that's dative plural. So you're going to use the keyword, right? To the rulers and to the authorities. Or you could use to once and then, just the conjunction. To the rulers and authorities. Yep, the now could be translated anywhere. Okay, anybody else?
I have a funny translation mistake.
Uh-oh.
On number 4, I put we should continue in saying. And I
Uh-oh.
didn't see the question mark, but it's should we continue in saying.
Yes, that question mark's sort of important here. Isn't it?
I was like, this is not good.
What is Mounce trying to say?
Yes, we should continue.
What's Mounce
in
trying to
saying.
say?
Yeah, that's interesting, huh? Okay, good. Well, here, let me just take a moment to talk about prepositions. I have a couple minutes left, so let's just begin to discuss this. Prepositions are words that indicate relationships among entities, okay? So in English we have prepositions, and those are used to say things like over, under, around, through, in, right?
Yes.
Here's the thing about Greek prepositions. Greek has prepositions, and they are always followed by an object of the preposition. Okay? The object of the preposition is going to be in a case. What are my possible cases for the object of the preposition?
It's not going to be the subject.
Right, exactly. My cases could be genitive, dative, or accusative. I will never, ever have a preposition in Greek where the object of the preposition is in the nominative case. It'll always be in one of the non-nominative cases. Okay? Now, in Greek, our prepositions are sometimes followed by just one case, sometimes by two cases, in which case it'll have two different meanings, and sometimes followed by three cases, and so there could potentially be three different meanings. This is what makes the Greek prepositions a bit more difficult, because in English we don't have cases, right? So we use the preposition to. The form of the noun doesn't change depending on case, right? But in Greek that could be the case, pardon the pun. So you learned ace as one of your words in the last chapter. This, and I'm going to write things like this: ace plus accusative means the preposition ace will take its object of the preposition in the accusative. This is true always and forever, amen. Okay? On the other hand, apa, which means from, takes its object of the preposition in what case? If you went over the lesson, it's genitive case. Okay? So I will always see my noun in the genitive case when it means like from the store, from Jesus. Okay? So these prepositions only take one type of case. Some, on the other hand, can have more than one. Kata could be followed by accusative or genitive, and it's going to have different meanings depending on that, okay? So what you're going to do is, if you're making flashcards, write the word kata plus accusative, flip it over, and give the meaning of kata plus the accusative. Put kata plus the genitive on a separate flashcard, and then the meaning that way, okay? So who knows what kata plus the accusative case of an object is? According to, this is using the Gospels. The Gospel according to Mark, kata Markon, kata Lukon, okay? And if it is kata plus the genitive, what's that? Therefore? Kata?
I'm sorry, I was looking at this one. I was trying to match up the cards with the chapters.
Oh, okay.
That was the wrong
Yeah, no,
response to your question.
no worries, no worries. So, kata? Anybody? Kata? One sense of kata is down. Down from. So, what's that? Beneath? Well, we have huper, like hupa, which also has two cases. Hupa plus the genitive is under, is by, and hupa plus the accusative is under. So.
Is this not, we haven't learned that word.
Oh, is kata not in this chapter? Oh, okay, it's coming then. He's going to give you the second. He'll give you kata, and he'll give you. I'm sorry.
I was really trying to.
I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Very good. Well, I guess we need to stop there, so we will.
It's also not on the little thing that he gives us with the prepositions.